and I want all the rights that a woman has, and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman.
皆さん、こんにちは。今回は、ピアーズ・モーガンというイギリスのテレビ番組司会者と、アンジェリカ・マレットという LGBT 論者が論争を巻き起こす動画を、英語と日本語字幕付きで見て、本場の英語を学びましょう。それではどうぞ。
Perhaps the sex I
So
was
why
born
can't
as.
I
It's not-
identify... OK, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
Well, I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
I think
we're
that's
talking
what.
about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said
that's
ridicules
problematic.
trans people, because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has, and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. You can think I'm ridiculous, but I don't think you can say, well, it has to
I don't know why I am, but you're not.
I don't think you have to say it's post-op is the only way that someone's allowed to identify
Well,
as
the
trans.
original standard
This is not for us to
the original
decide.
standard for being transgender was being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate condition. And now it's being, however way you feel. So if you feel on Tuesday you're a woman and on Thursday you're a pizza, that's perfectly valid. But to you, that's ridiculous. And I want to know why that is ridiculous. We should be talking about actual women on International Women's Day. That's not crazy.
I mean, I agree. I think, but your idea of an actual woman...
The chromosomes, it's pretty
It's an
straightforward.
adult female. It's not
The
difficult.
chromosomes are a pretty good indication.
I don't think you have to be biologically female to identify
Then
as a
you are
woman.
wrong, because then I can identify as a fox.
Yeah.
But again, it's
You
a kind of
can.
absurd point.
How many?
Like,
Well, let me ask you this.
you're
Let me
not
ask you
an
this,
animal.
Angelica. How many genders are there?
Two.
There are two genders.
Oh.
Wow. So you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are...
Whoa,
two
hang on.
segments.
Whoa. There are two genders?
Well, it's taught in...
Well, you say, well, you've literally just launched this huge defence of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
I think
If there are two genders, you mean male and female, right?
There's gender fluidity. I will...
Fluid between what?
Between what?
Between different identities, and we can choose different
You
identities.
see how difficult this is, though?
But it is difficult, but I think making...
But it's not difficult until you make it difficult. You see, the BBC has done teaching videos to 11 and 12-year-olds where they say there are 100 genders. One of them was astrogender, which is an affinity with the stars and the galaxy. My response to that on the last show I did was to say, well, in that case, I identify as a two-spirit penguin. I was then told I was being ridiculous, but I made the same point. The ridiculousness is the BBC teaching kids there are 100 genders. There aren't. It is absurd. Bring back Tommy Lehrer.
いかがでしたか？ピアーズ・モーガンは論戦では優勢な印象ですが、アンジェリカも相手が発言中にちゃんと話を聞くところは好印象でした。このチャンネルでは英語が楽しく学べる動画をアップしていきます。よろしければいいね、チャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。それではまた。